Hi, you've reached Tim and Gabrielle from Excel Talk. We're not able to come to the phone right now, but if you leave a message, we'll be sure to respond by playing your message on our live Excel Talk broadcast. Welcome everyone to Excel Talk number 5. We made it, Gabrielle. We've exhausted all the fingers on one hand.
Yeah.
To our
So
fifth
next
episode.
milestone is 2 hands. I think we'll get there. We're having too much fun.
And I like how I think we're falling into a cadence now of kind of identifying the topic beforehand, right? So today is going to be all about Gantt charts. And, before we get into that, you have anything you want to mention? I noticed you're in some fancy office building there, or any other news you want to mention?
Well, yeah, this is actually a temporary office. Vilixo is moving right now, so we just had to get a temporary place for the team. Vilixo is growing, and we need something more permanent. So next Monday, we are officially moving, and I think that pretty soon I will be able to update my backdrop. I want something just as fancy as your backdrop. So we will be building an actual studio in the new office for all these webinars and videos together.
Cool. Looking forward to seeing that.
Yes. Actually, I'm very excited, Tim. I've never seen so many people live join us.
How many? Oh, I see 7 are watching on YouTube. Woo!
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Many people actually watch the recording afterwards. And anyway, if it's just the two of us, it's still fun and worth it. We're pushing the limits of Excel and Acumatica always, and we're both learning while doing this.
So 833 Excel Talk. If you have any Excel questions or things you want to ask us, we have a message here from, I think this was a couple months ago at this point. Should I go ahead and play it? It's about our Gantt charts here.
Yes, let's do it.
All right, here we go.
Hi, Tim and Gabrielle. This is Toon 6 from Internet Customer Solutions, trying to become a partner for Acumatica and reselling Acumatica. The thing that really is missing in the construction world and in the project management world is the Gantt chart. I did a business process analysis for a construction company, and they were wondering, what about the Gantt chart? What about changing the start time and end time of a project task, and drag and drop it to another week? We can do that, and that's really needed so that we can see, so that we can schedule better our resources, our people and tools, because on certain weeks we might be out or short of certain people and tools. So we would have to change the start time and the end time. And that would be fantastic if we can do that visually via a graphic. I hope you guys can discuss that nicely, and maybe you can use the Vilixo generic write-back feature that enable that. That would be a great asset for construction project management, construction project management. Thank you, and looking forward to hear about it.
Well, thanks, Toon, for the message. And Gabrielle, we're going to attempt to cover Gantt charts in an hour. There's a lot there, right? So we're going to start off with just kind of a Gantt chart overview. I'm going to do something simple in Power BI as one take on it. But I like what Toon mentioned there about potentially even using Velixo's right back. And maybe that could be something that we do next month when we talk about right back.
Yes, I think this is definitely an interesting scenario, and I believe we mentioned that last time. But Velixo is coming out with something called generic right back that will expand the right back capabilities beyond journal entries and budgets. So effectively, you would be able to update project task dates, project start dates, and push any type of data to Acumatica. So once we have the Gantt chart in place, once we have the ability to change these dates, we should be able to push that to Acumatica. It would be interesting. Like I heard something about drag and drop. Like, do you have any idea we could achieve that in Excel?
I don't. When I hear drag and drop, the first thing I think of is Smartsheet. I think Smartsheet does a great job of you being able to drag things around, and they have a Gantt chart view. And the advantage there is all your data is stored in Smartsheet. But in our scenario, we want to store the data in Acumatica, right?
Yeah. And what's your experience with Smartsheet? Have you used the Acumatica integration?
Not much. I played around with it a while ago, and I actually, there's a company that maybe we could reach out to as part of this that was working to enhance that integration because they were interested specifically in the Gantt chart, I believe, in Smartsheet.
Yeah, I heard from many clients trying to use it and they were not successful, or they found it incomplete for their use case. And this is really what prompted me to take a deeper look at Gantt charts. Obviously, the question from Toon was a great opportunity to cover that, but we received like 5 or 6 emails from clients trying to do some sort of scheduling. And they all told us the same thing, like Smartsheet is a bit too much for us. We would like to do it from Excel, which your tool if possible. So that's a good challenge for us.
And maybe just looking at the time, maybe I'll skip the Power BI thing. I'll just mention it. So we've talked about Smartsheet. I'll also mention Power BI has a visual, an official visual from Microsoft. And maybe I'll just do this. I'll just show you how you can download it if you want to play around with it. But I won't take it any further. We can keep the Excel and Excel talk today.
Oh, I would love to see it then.
You want to see it?
Yes, I want to see it. I think you are
all right,
you're
let's
having
try it.
doubts about your solution, but you shouldn't. Like we need to see it and see how that compares and what's possible. Because what's that? Henry Gantt, the inventor of the Gantt chart.
Well, yeah, this is a Gantt chart, right? It's actually named after Henry Gantt. He came up with it and he was around the turn of the century, last century. So, okay, let's do that. Let's do it quickly. Let's see. So first off, I want to show the generic inquiry that I'm using. So I'm using this one right here. Project tasks, which is available. It's either called projects or construction. It's a standard generic inquiry, but I made some modifications. I'm not going to cover them, but I'm just going to step through these tabs in case you want to pause the video and build this on your own later. Make sure you expose it via OData. Here's your tables. Here's your relations. I don't think I did anything here, but I'll just click through each one. Parameters, nothing there. Conditions. I did add a couple of things here just because of the demo data that I'm working with to make it a little cleaner. No grouping. I sorted by end date. And here's my column. So let me expand these in case you want to copy this down. I'll just see. Here's the top. I'll slowly scroll through. Let's make this a little bit wider. So you could build this off of screenshots if you would like. And then another thing I'm doing, I'm only grabbing the top 10 records. And the final result, actually, I think there's less than 10. There's only 5. There's the final result. So this is what I'm working with. And let's flip over to Power BI. I'm working with the Power BI desktop. Go ahead and get data. We will get it from OData. You know what? I'm doing this backwards. So first thing you want to do, this is Power BI desktop. It comes with a standard set of visuals, but you can go out here and get more visuals. You can even import them from a custom visual file, but I'm going to go to get more visuals. This takes you to the App Store, and we can just search for Gantt. You see, there's a few of them out there. I'm going to use the official one from Microsoft. And then you can also download the sample. So I'm going to download the sample and open it up. So this way you start off with a nice pre-built sample. And then all I'm going to do is add my Acumatica data into this sample. So we got a few tabs here. Got building construction. And this is, I think when we get to Excel, Gabrielle, we're going to have more control over things. And we're going to be able to give more detail. These are more summarized, I think. They look a little cartoonish. But if you look through here, the project schedule, one thing I do like is they included resource information. So you can see you've got even a legend. You got a type. So I could be dealing with tasks on the left-hand side. Then I've got colors telling me what type of task it is, analysis, design, development. And then they even layered in down here resources, which you can see the resource is displayed right next to the task. And then I can hover over it to see more information about it, the specific start date, end date, duration, completion percentage, etc. in the resource. So I do like it, how simple it is, especially when it comes to growing and shrinking, because it's all dynamic. And, just to prove that we could connect this to Acumatica data, let's do this. Let's just do a new page. And here's where we'll go back to OData, get data, OData. We'll paste in our Acumatica URL, do /OData and /our tenant. If you were not logged in, you'd have to log into Acumatica using the basic authentication. Just put in your Acumatica username and password. And then we're going to connect to that PM projects generic inquiry and load the data. So once that loads in, we can then use the Gantt chart visual, which is right here. This is the one we got from the App Store. Just add that to the canvas. And then you can see on the right-hand side, we've got things that we can populate. So I'm going to use our Acumatica data, and let's put in task description. We'll drag it into the task area. And now we've got our tasks listed on the left-hand side. Then let's take our start date. I just remembered something. There is one thing I had to do here. Let's go back in here to transform data on the top. Let's click on the PM project tasks. And if we scroll over, let's take the duration. It brought it in as text. Let's make it a whole number. And then let's close and apply. All right, so let's take our start date. Let's put that in the start date area. You can see now we get and my sample data is not great. It goes across multiple years, so that's why I have to do a lot of scrolling here. But you can see it dropped that in there. And then we can see that this is still really narrow, and that's because we need to add the duration. It needs to know how long each task is expected to take. So let's add in the duration. And I'm calculating the duration in this generic inquiry based off the start and end date of the task. So you're not actually keying in a duration value. If you go and look at a specific task, it's calculating the duration based off the number of days between the start date and the end date. So if we come back here, now I've got something that's starting to look like a Gantt chart. And I'm not going to take it any further for the sake of time, but you can see there's other things you can do. We saw the resource earlier. What I just want to prove is that this is connected to Acumatica data. So if I look at, let's find that upgrade one. Here's the upgrade one. This is that upgrade campaign task. If I were to extend this out, maybe we expect it now to end in March of 2018. Bad sample data. And then I come back here. Right now you can see it's ending in February. But if I just come back up here and refresh, it's going to pull in. Oh, Sorry, I don't want to refresh all the data. Let's just right click on our Acumatica data and refresh that. And watch when it's done. It now has extended out into March. So simple Gantt chart in Power BI. I like it because it's dynamic, but back to that right back point, I don't like that I can't just easily drag and drop things. You know, it's just read only at this point. And then I'll mention one more thing. You can embed Power BI back inside of Acumatica and actually put it on the Acumatica menu. I normally put it in dashboards, and you could, look at your Gantt chart from Power BI inside of Acumatica. It's also not live though. You'd have to put it on some kind of scheduled refresh if you were to do that.
Yeah, which is somewhat a drawback for people trying to do real-time analysis and scheduling, like Velixo typically do with Excel.
So I do have another example, Gabrielle, using the same data set and just one of the many Gantt chart templates that are out there I tried out. Okay. I'll take a look at that, and then I know you have some templates as well that you want to share.
I have many. Actually, like you might just want to pop up a browser window and just like Google Excel Gantt chart just to show how many examples are out there.
Yeah, there's a ton.
Yeah.
And there's different styles. I mean, some of them show just different things. Some of them are by day, by week, different color coding. You can find one that suits your needs. The one I am going to work with to start here, there's a guy named Chandu who has one out there, and there's one right here. And so what I did is I downloaded right under here somewhere. I'm sorry, I think I got the wrong one. Not the archives, I want this one. Just scroll down there. So you can click there to download this template. And I'm going to use the same generic inquiry that I was using earlier. So I actually already downloaded it. Let me open it up. So I'm working with the actual file that I downloaded. So there's a couple things I'll have to do here. First thing I'm going to do is you're going to want to right click and unprotect the sheet so you can make some changes. And then you can see we've got this is, I'll call the simple. I like it because it's simple, but I like it because it's functional. And Gabrielle's got some examples that look better, but we'll just start off with this from a functional standpoint. You can see I can list in, these could be activities or tasks, when they're starting, the duration, and he even did a planned and an actual. So the actuals in these two columns, the planned are in these two columns, and you can change which one you're looking at using this drop down. So this will show me the planned data, and this will show me the actual data. Then you can also see there's a red box that shows you where you're at. So maybe we're actually at week 10. We can just move our red box over. So we get a nice visual to know where we're at compared to the dates here. Now, what I didn't like is I didn't like these numbers. So the example I'm going to do is going to use actual dates. So first thing I'll do is get rid of this information. And let's go ahead and use Velixo. Gabrielle will like that. We'll connect to my demo environment. And I like using Velixo in this situation because I want to get back a dynamic array. All right. And then I'm going to type in this formula. It's going to give me back a dynamic array. So again, something you might go back to later, look at the screenshots. I'm just getting that same generic inquiry. And then I'm selecting which columns I want from it. I don't think my data has any planned information, but I did go ahead and include those. Planned start and the planned duration. And then there's an actual start, actual duration, and a complete percent. All right, so now I've got a Velixo. Thank you, Velixo, for populating this dynamically. So I don't have to put that in manually. let's go ahead and do our dates to look a little bit nicer. So we've got some actual dates. And let's see, the next I want to go up here and I'm going to just start a cell that will trigger where my starting point is. And to start with, I'm just going to take the minimum of all these dates. My sample data is not that great here because I got 2018 and 2021. They're not going to match up well, but you'll at least be able to see the 2018 data. And I can come over here and I'm just going to reference this E4 cell. So that's going to be my starting date. And then in the next cell, I'm going to add 7 days. So I'm doing this by week. Gabrielle's got some templates that are going to do it by day. If you want to do it by day, just add a 1 instead of a 7. Or you could even do a formula that would do weekdays so that it would detect, am I on a weekend? If I am, I'm going to skip it. I only want to show Monday through Friday. You're just determining what time buckets you want on the top.
And Tim, we might want to bring up something since write back will be something that we cover. Acumatica lets you enter like actual dates for projects and tasks, but if you want to use the project forecasting module, you're only able to forecast by month. So there are some limits to what Acumatica will let you track if you want to ultimately push this data back to Acumatica. I don't know if that's a concern for every client that we work with, but definitely I see people want to be able to forecast by week. So either like we're going to extend Acumatica to allow forecasting by week, or we will have like to put some hard limits as to what can be done with this integration.
And you're talking about project forecasting or like general ledger forecasting or both?
I'm talking about the project forecasting piece. So we heard this request of being able to push the forecast back to Acumatica and compare with the actuals. But right now, Acumatica only lets you forecast by month. It's actually financial period. So there's no ability to do it by week, which would be like very important. Yeah, you can open the screen and show it.
So basically we need, and I planned, I don't remember how these are populated, the plan, start, and end. Mm-hmm. You're talking about another screen, though. What was it?
I'm talking about, well, yeah, you know what? Maybe there's no point of using forecast here. If you just want to set the dates by, yeah, I was thinking of a different scenario where you might want to say, okay, like Tim will work like 20 hours on that week. It will work 5 hours.
Oh, resource scheduling. Okay.
Yeah, resource, yeah, exactly. Yeah, resource scheduling. So that's going beyond what you're presenting now.
So I think you've got a resource example queued up. So I'm just doing task, and then we can drill down into resource when you share your screen. How's that?
Good, yeah.
And I don't remember, are these might get populated from Smartsheet. I don't remember what these are used for. But or you could do some user-defined fields to give you a manually entered plan, start, and end.
Your task is likely active. Yeah, just put it back on hold, click the hamburger icon here, hold, and you
okay.
Start date.
That's it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm just doing weekly buckets here. That's why I added 7, and then I pasted it across. And I'm going to format these in a format that doesn't take up too much space, but still tells us what it is. And then let's expand this out. Then I want to do another up here, and let's do B4. Now here's where you could make the red box part dynamic. We could just have it use today's date. And this current, what is the current week? We'll just reference this field right here. So if that's the current week, obviously I'm back here in like 2018, so that's not going to work. But you could do today, and you could also just, for our sake, let's just put in a date. So you can see I get the red box if today's date, quote, is January 1st, 18. If I make it January 15, you can see the red box moves. Now these are weeks. So what you'd probably want to do, and I'm not going to do it here, but you'd probably want to build this formula to detect like the Monday or whatever the start of the week is for you, so that you make sure you start on the right day, and then you're doing every week after that. So I'll just do one example there. You could do today. You want the first day of the week for today, and then just subtract weekday from today. And I did a return type of 3, which means it's going to start on a Monday. So this would give you, today is the 27th, Monday was the 25th. So that way you'd be starting off on a Monday. You could do the same technique here to start off on a Monday. All right, so I'm going to go back and hard code this for now. Let's do 15. Okay. Now, next thing I want to do is, let's see. We've got our different dates here. So then I just want to do, one more update to prove that this is dynamic. Right now, we've got a duration of 73 days, and we're 70% done. Well, let's go back to that same task, and let's extend this out a little bit further. So we don't have to populate the 73 days. It'll calculate the difference between these dates automatically. And then let's say that we think we're now 80% complete. What it's going to do is these little visual boxes, you can actually change them. Right now it's a box. You could change it to an arrow. It'll make it arrows, or you can make it dots. These are detecting the percent complete. So it's showing us visually, this is 70% complete across this whole bar. And so if I refresh this now, we should see these circles extend, and then the entire bar extend as well. Let's go ahead and refresh that. So it's getting a nice dynamic list. Now you can see the whole bar extended further, and we're 80%, so the circles are taking up 80% of the space available in the bar.
That's a fairly complex formula that you have here.
Well, that's why we like this idea of just Googling for templates, right? Then we don't have to deal with the finicky formatting that makes this happen. I didn't even look at what it's doing. I just downloaded the template.
I was looking at the different templates that I downloaded, and they all use different techniques to simulate the Gantt chart. I see that some of them, actually most of them, use conditional formatting, but some don't even have formulas in the cell itself. Like yours, if you go, for example, to J8, what do you see in J8?
I think it's just a bunch of
if.
Yeah, they're all, it's not conditional formatting.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's too complex for my taste. I will have simpler examples to show.
Yeah, and I think that, as we've talked before, I think that's one of my favorite things about Excel, that you could just Google for options, right? I don't have to develop this stuff from scratch. I could just go find someone else who's done it. And that's one thing I really like about it.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, you got some examples as well. Do you want to take us on a tour of your templates first, maybe? Or what do you want to do?
Yes. Actually, I'm torn. I'm wondering if we should, just for today, focus on something simple where we do scheduling for project and task just with start date and end date without doing the resource scheduling. It's an entirely different thing, and I'm not sure what's more important. I know we have a lot of viewers live, so if people want to pitch in, do you want to see scheduling for multiple projects at once, for just one project and its tasks, all the projects and tasks? Should we do resource scheduling? I think there are many different options out there, but let me bring my screen up.
And on the resource side, I think there's two ways to look at it. One is you just replace tasks with resources. So I'm doing resource scheduling instead of tasks. Another way to look at it is resources are kind of like a layer on top of your tasks. You could do it either way with the Gantt chart, right?
Yes, we could do it either way. Definitely. Clearly, Acumatica has some limitations, but I was thinking of using the customization tools later on to add the necessary tables and just make it possible to assign resources to individual tasks or resources to the actual projects. Do we even have something in Acumatica to assign resources inside a project manager?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, so let's check. Provided we can get here. Okay. Projects, restaurant. We do have an employees tab that lets us link employees. I think it's mostly used for labor item and earning type overrides. So when you do the project billing, but we could leverage that later on to know the actual employee that are linked to a project, and then let users pick from that list. But anyway, let's go to the different templates and take a look at the ones I found. So I think we will both agree that this looks nicer than the Chandu sample. I find it simpler as well. The formula, and this is how they manage the color coding. They have something very simple here in each cell. It checks the week number, and if it falls between the start and end week, it just returns 1, and 1 means green, 0 means nothing.
And you should be able to use dates there as well, because they're just numbers. Dates just increment one day at a time as numbers, right?
Yeah, correct. Yes. If I change a date here, so this one is week-based, but let's do March instead. What did I do? I'm not even sure what the date format is here. Yeah, that's day, month, year. Day, month. So let's do it like that. That's interesting. It's doing something really funky. So anyway, I just decided I don't like this one because I'm not able to figure out what to do.
But I agree. I like the look, and I like the Chandu one from a functional standpoint. But yeah, it's a lot more complicated. I like the look. It does look a lot cleaner.
So this one is very simple too, but it's not dynamic enough. The dates are hard coded. It's not even using the dates that we have here. So this one still has a lot of work needed before it will give us a proper Gantt chart. So let's put this one aside for a while. So that's the first one I actually found. It's coming from a site called Vertex 42. It's pretty solid, and it's also very dynamic. So you can have a start date. I believe the start date here will just take this. So let's say we want to start on April 1st, 2022. I press enter, and it does update the schedule. So it goes from the project start date. You have all the tasks. You have multiple levels. And one of the nice things I found about this one is that you also have % complete, and the % complete influences how this gets displayed. So let's say this task is at 75%. You would see that gray bar overlaid over the actual Gantt chart that shows you the actual progress with respect to the schedule. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
and I think, one of the advantages of a Gantt chart is less is more. And this is all about visual, right? Being able to digest it in as little amount of time as possible in a project planning meeting. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. This one shows some hierarchy as well, so multiple levels. This is not something that we have in Acumatica out of the box, but with proper project task nomenclature, somebody could achieve the same thing and have tasks and subtasks and present it this way. So this actually might be overkill for what we were planning to do today. Let's just switch to last one I had here. So this one is from Gantt Pro. It's actually a third-party software that does Gantt charts. It's not Excel, but they do have multiple Excel samples. And this one is a bit different. Does it even work? Is it even dynamic? Yeah, it does seem to be dynamic. So they probably use some sort of conditional formatting here, manage rules.
Yeah. So your cells have nothing in them, but it's all conditional format. That's nice and clean. I like that.
Yeah, nice and clean. This one does not have the percent complete thing what we're looking at, but it's actually neat. We do have assignees as well. You can pick from the list, and yeah, that's interesting. So Tim, should we have something like that lists all the projects and the tasks inside the projects, and that would let us schedule at the project level and at the task level. Do you think that this is the more likely scenario?
That gets trickier, right? Yeah. And so you would actually schedule at both levels, or would the project just pick up the max and min dates from the
Min and max?
task?
Yeah, that could work. And later on with the Velixo write back, we could even pick this up as well. Make sense? I don't know. Like I asked people to post, like if they had questions. Unfortunately, what do you prefer? Okay, so we do have some answers, but not quite what we're expecting. So your vote, Tim. One project or multiple projects?
Well, my simple brain can't handle multi-dimensional forecasting very well. So I'm like, just to pick one thing, I'm either scheduling resources, or I'm scheduling tasks, or I'm scheduling projects. In this case, I would do the max and the min personally and do all the data entry at the task level.
Okay, and at this point, we just focus on assigning one resource per task, not more.
Sure, and that could just be a user-defined field on the task in Acumatica, right?
Well, I think it's already there in Acumatica. If I go to a project task, I think we have that.
Oh, it might be like the project manager or something, right?
Yeah. Okay, that works. I like this template. Let's look at the other ones again. This one is actually pretty slick as well. Days, percentage on. We do have percentage on in Acumatica. So here's what I will do. Instead of doing task and subtask, this can be multiple projects. And yeah, you have project start date, schedule start date. Okay, I like this one. So I just decided I would be using this one.
So I think your scenario here is that you're just scheduling tasks on one project. This is the type of company that would have larger, more complicated projects, right?
Yeah. I will save this under a different name, and I will add my Velixo connection right away. Okay. Ace, demo. I will actually make it work for multiple projects at once, but we can just focus on one. Oh, what is that? Gantt chart Pro. More feature pack. Yeah, there's additional things, but I think I'll just use this one. Can I just drop blah, blah, blah. You may not remove or alter anything. Okay.
Uh-oh, we might have just copyright infringed on our YouTube live broadcast here.
Well, let's acknowledge the great work done by Vertex 42.
Yes, thank you, Vertex 42.
Okay.
Located at vertex42.com.
Yes, but I don't need all of that here, and call that field here. Let's add a field where you can type a project ID.
And we could even make that a lookup, against Acumatica data.
Yeah, later on,
To do that.
Let's do equal project description from Velixo. So one of the functions that we had to Excel. Project schedule. Beach hotel and condominiums project schedule. So it's already dynamic. Company name. Well, this is Velixo. Can I add the Velixo logo, Tim?
Add the Velixo logo to what?
Yes, here.
To the spreadsheet? Yeah, of course. Yeah. I don't know. We already violated the copyright potentially, right? So might as well go all the way.
Oh, you know what? This is pretty slick.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't even know what this is.
Yeah, and I think that's another question I have, across the spectrum of Acumatica customers. How broad of a range are people planning? And are they planning in days? Are they planning in weeks? Are they planning in months? I think it depends on the company, right? Some companies have longer term projects than others. It'd be interesting to see what most people are interested in.
Yeah, this one shows you days and weeks. But yeah, this one is very slick. So I will keep the copyright visible here. Again, we might as well add the Velixo mailing address if they want to send us unfriendly
cease and desist.
Okay. Anyway, at the end of the day, we're going to be making many changes to this file. So, okay, project, I want, and I told you, I think it makes sense to allow scheduling of multiple projects. So I'll do something where you can leave this blank and it shows you multiple projects. So I will add a formula here. So if this one equals blank, actually, if this one equals blank, or B1, well, I want to do something where you can list multiple projects too. So anyway, let's do if, for now, I'll do if it's blank, it will show multiple projects. Otherwise, it will show the project name like that. So right now it's a beach hotels. If I clear that, it's multiple project schedule.
Yeah, and then the challenge would be getting the data to populate dynamically underneath. Are you thinking a dynamic array formula here?
It will be dynamic array formulas. Absolutely, Tim. So I'm just going to get rid of that.
But how you would know, how would you would do a project / task in one
Yes,
situation or only tasks in another situation?
We could do that actually, but I want to do project. Yeah, here instead of WBS, it will be project, and then task. Let's go to Acumatica. I do have an inquiry already that will give us all the projects and tasks. I built that for a WIP report that we ship with Velixo, project and tasks. I think it should be called Velixo projects. Not this one. Let's take a look at the WIP report we have. Where is that? Here. The file I'm opening is an old sample. It's something we built even before we had generic inquiries. I think it's still using Power Query. It's right here. Data. Edit. Project and task list. Maybe there was a better way. I had like, this is how I look at my queries usually. It's a bit geeky, but it works for me.
That's why you're absolutely sure you know which one it is.
Yes, projects and tasks.
I think it was no S, project and task.
Project.
There you go.
Task. Here we go.
So this one is not in the official Velixo. Would you mind clicking through the tabs just so we could go back and see the screenshots?
Project and task together. And then I filter out in the conditions the contracts and project X because I'm not interested in that. Base type P means project. Acumatica stores the contracts and the projects in the same table. So even though I'm using PM project, I still need to filter out contracts. And the results grid, contract or project ID.
And make sure there's nothing on the grouping and sort order tabs.
Nothing.
All right, just want to make sure. Cool.
This one is actually a bit overkill because I'm getting more things than I need, but it works. I just realized one thing, Tim. If I want to have a row with the project code here, one GI will not work.
Yeah, that's where you have the level problem, right? Now, maybe what you could do is conditional formatting. You have like a type. This row is a project or it's a task, and then your conditional formatting could do that gray bar if it's a project. And then if there's no like project task, if you put in a specific project on the top, it would just list a bunch of white space that's tasks, right?
Yeah, but the challenge is that let's say you take this project here. I want an extra row above it that doesn't have any task.
I see your point.
Yeah. So I think, we will use the union function. I will get a unique list of project and we will union it with it. Not union, but collate in the Velixo. And let's simplify that. I think this.
Ooh, I want to see this. I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about there.
So I'll just create a copy because I want a simpler version of this inquiry. So let's do a Velixo project tasks. Paste. I use that for an earlier example. I don't want to modify it. I just want to create a copy. And I want the project ID.
Is there a reason why you began that with Velixo? To me, that confuses it with the list of standard Velixo generic inquiries.
Yeah, good point, Tim.
Okay, I thought there was some secret trick that maybe it's
No.
visible automatically, or I wasn't sure what it was.
No, well, the standard ones, they're all Velixo Reports Pro. This one just has Velixo.
You know, I just thought of an idea. You know, we've talked about this thing with the GI function and the Lambda functions in Excel that basically can allow people to build their own Velixo formulas, right?
Yes.
I just thought of an idea that you might do something where if your generic inquiry starts with whatever it is, then it automatically gets cached by Velixo's engine. You know, it'd be a way to not have to manually build those GI formulas to retrieve the data. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. Okay, so let's retrieve that. So now I'll do just GI of Velixo project tasks without any filter. Okay, it's a new GI, so I need to hit refresh, otherwise it will not find it. Now we do see it. So as is the case, Acumatica has added an extra column that we didn't ask for. So this is standard behavior. We can specify the columns. I can get rid of the header, and now we have all the projects. Let's filter that though, because we are going to work with a single project at first. So I will use the GI filter function. The GI filter works like functions in Excel, such as SUMIF. You can list multiple columns. So I want to filter on project and reference this cell here. So now it's just one project, and we do see the column. Okay, now we have the project, and then we have the levels. Is that dynamic? 1.4? No, it's not dynamic. So I want to have a column with the project name here, and then the task name. But I will also need to have the task ID somewhere, and for that, I might want to insert a column that we will be hiding later on. So let's just put this here as a first, clear all of that. Oops, I messed up the formatting. Let's copy that.
I wonder if that gray bar is conditional formatting.
Let's see if that, what is that?
Whoa.
Yeah,
That is
very,
quite a
very
formula.
Substitute prev WBS. What is that?
That PREV, it somehow is looking at the previous value.
A18. Interesting. Okay, we're not going to use that anyway. Oh, see. Full numbering. If you want to use a work grade on structures with numbers, I mean, it's not important for us.
Yeah, we want to get it from Acumatica.
Yeah. So in the end, I think this vertex will just be used as a starting point for us. Here. So now we have the project code, task code here.
Yeah, so what's the technique you were thinking of to get another row now for the project?
Yeah, and I actually don't want to see the project ID everywhere, but we will need it for our formulas. So I like to have extra columns sometimes. Let's see if I take this, put it instead here. Oops. E2. Okay. This will be hidden later on. Okay, we will be using data groups to remove that, so don't worry. So we need a technique to get an extra row on top of that contains a project ID.
So I can think of how to do this in Power Query, but I'm curious to see how you come up with this in your method here.
So in Velixo, in Velixo, we have added a function called collate. Actually, in the newer insider builds of Excel, you have stack. One second. Excel dynamic arrays, new formulas. This was just announced.
And you said what you're about to show is on the insider version only?
Yes.
Okay.
Announcing new text and array functions. Text before, text after, text that, VStack and HStack. So this helps you combine arrays.
Oh, okay. So it's like an append.
Yes, and you can do it
Okay.
horizontally or vertically. So this was just introduced and it's in the insider. But at Velixo, we saw the need for that a long time ago and actually built our own function called collate. So you can
Okay.
actually collate multiple arrays together. Let me just show you an example. I'll collate this with that here. And you'll see it gives you one array with everything.
And then I could also build it with 2 GI formulas, I assume. Just bake it all into one cell.
Oh yeah.
I like this.
You're getting to my idea, Tim. So I will. So I will collate.
And then maybe you're going to do a distinct on the project.
Unique. Yes, I will
Unique.
collate this. With that, so I want a unique list of projects. I only want to have the project column on this one. The second one will have everything. And I want to sort that. So now
Here's where, I think we talked about this, last time, the idea of lambdas. You could build lambdas in your organization that do all of this stuff and just take a couple of parameters. And then, people could use it a lot easier. I love that idea. We've been talking offline about how to build some kind of community thing around that, the idea of lambdas. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Great. There's your project.
So here, I want to do, so if the task column is empty, I'll get the project description. Otherwise, I'll get the project task description from column B. Okay, and ideally I want to spill this, so I want this to repeat. So I'll do if, well, actually I need to do index A10 hash.
I really like this technique that you showed me, by the way.
Column 2.
Yeah, that index
I'll do
is
index hash
powerful.
column 1, and here I'll do index A10 hash column 2. So it should show a still error. That's normal. Let's clear out everything. Oops. I even cleared
everything -1.
Yes. Okay. Oh, we're missing something. The project task description function expects the project ID as well, not just the project task. Project and task should be A10 column 2. Task is required. Oh, that's interesting. I think I just found, like, so this is brand new, by the way, the ability in Velixo to spill down with our built-in projects. This is brand new, and I think we just found an issue here.
An issue or a bug?
Yeah, a bug. Yeah, issue is the polite way. Yeah, so we might have to do it.
Hey, I'm honored. We discovered a Velixo bug on Excel Talk. That's pretty cool.
Because it says task is required, but I actually think if I hard code something here, it will work just fine. Yeah. A10 column 2. Yeah. Okay. So that's
You can
that's
hard
something
code for now.
yeah, I will just copy paste that, but we'll hard code. Yeah. So let's do it the old fashioned way. If the task is blank, let's get the project description from this column. If not, let's get the project task description, project in A10 and task in B10. Now we have to take this formula and fill it down, and it is magically working.
Where'd you put your space? I missed that part. Did you get put or that metals? Is that just in the data itself, or did you somehow put an
It's
indent?
indenting. It's indenting here. It was there before in the old.
Ah, okay.
Okay. But what I'll do is simply take the formatting and apply it to all the lines.
And that's not a bad idea, actually. If it is a task, you might put 4 spaces in front of it so you can
Yeah.
see the task visually underneath, in addition to them being a different color.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's retrieve the current days from Acumatica. Let's do project task start date.
Yeah, and I got another idea on conditional formatting. You could do this in a separate column, or you could just maybe put like a P or a T in front of it to get it to trigger that gray line if it starts with a P, something like that.
Now we have the dates, start date, project task end date. I'm not going to use the dynamic array formulas here either because I think we will have the same issue. The problem is that we have 2 arrays. I think this is what's confusing the function. Here. Okay, so we have start date. Oh, we don't have end dates for all of them, and that's creating some sort of error. Yeah. So let's do a few things. So here, I want to do, instead of calling that project start date, let's do schedule start date, because we will want to be able to adjust the schedule. So this one goes from 2020. So let's do 01/01/2020. Okay. So you do see the dates. Oh, it actually works just fine when you don't have an end date. That's interesting. This one displays, no, that's not right. This is not, no, it works, Tim, actually. It just displays on the bar, just keeps going. So the work days, net work days, that's interesting. Is that an Excel format? Have you ever used that? Net work days.
I think that eliminates, oh no, whole. I think it might eliminate weekends.
So let's fix that, days
Could be wrong
and
on that.
minus start. Here, and let's add in some logic if the end date is not specified. So if end date equal blank, we'll just return blank. Otherwise, let's do end minus start. Here, let's do the same thing for work days. Oh, it's looking for 0. In our case, we need to look for blank in our version. I actually like how they did that. Otherwise, we do this minus that. Okay. So I do want to display my task ID here.
So I just looked it up. That network days does exclude weekends. It also
Okay.
excludes holidays somehow. I don't know how you define where the holidays are.
Okay, that's interesting.
But what's strange though is they're calculating work days. I don't know if maybe they use the days column instead of work days because they're graphing across 7-day weeks, not 5-day weeks. It's interesting.
Okay. So what should we do? What should we do with columns C and D? Should we just have the task ID?
I personally like it all in one column, like you have it, because if I'm going to print this, I want the data to be as wide as possible, right? I don't want to waste space left and right.
If this is blank, let's do it the array way. So if A10 hash 2 is blank, if this is blank, I want to display the project code. Otherwise, I want to display task code. Does that work? Yes.
So we're up against the top of the hour here, but I'm curious, queuing this up for next time with the idea of next time talking about the Velixo generic write back. Your approach that you did here was more of a cell by cell approach when you went across the columns, whereas I just did one big blob of a dynamic array formula, so I didn't have to mess with the individual cells. I think the disadvantage of my approach, well, advantage is that it's one cell that you put the formula in. Disadvantage, I think, is that I can't then go change individual cells. The way you set it up is probably a better candidate for generic write back if we want to be able to change start dates and end dates and write it back to the data in Acumatica. Do you agree?
Yes. This is what we have to work on for the next session. Definitely, once we allow people to edit this, it will be just a one-click thing to push the dates back to Acumatica. We're still missing resource scheduling in there. It's doing it at the task level. Also, I think you wanted, and maybe we can do this real quick. We wanted to do min and max here.
Yep.
It's a bit dumb. It only works for one project. So I want to make this dynamic. If you recall earlier, I wanted to be able to do it for multiple projects. So
yeah, that's why I think we might want to hit in column there that tells us it's a P or a T or something, and then you use that in your logic afterwards.
Instead of checking if it's empty or not. Yeah, you can see it's working. At least now we have the other projects. Let's see if I copy this down. Let's say to 500 lines. It's not complete. It doesn't.
Yeah, that makes sense. You'd have to know when to do the min and when to grab the data.
When to do the min and max, and also when to get the task description or not. We'd like to have conditional formatting, so I want project header rows to be displayed like this one.
Yeah.
Yes, I think this is definitely doable as well, but we already have something. Actually, you can see, I like this nice scrolling.
So do I. I wonder how well it prints. I wonder how well it detects where you are when you go to print it.
Yeah, me too. Display week 1. So what would be missing is the write back with the Velixo generic write back. So for next month, we'll do that. I will actually be working, like in all transparency, I will be working on it before the next meeting, because I actually promised one of our clients that I would be building an example for them. And it's been a while, so I want to get this done. Maybe I can show you what they're after. So once we have the schedule, they want to be able to look at this by employee as well. And for each employee, they want to see the assignments. So how many hours do we have forecasted for Tim, for Gabriel, for Becky, for each week and each project?
Each week. Yeah. So that comes down to then where you're going to put that in Acumatica if you wanted to write it back.
Yes, exactly. Because right now, this Gantt chart that we just built, it's scheduling the entire task. You could have, for example, 5 employees doing the site work here, and we need to have the ability to schedule multiple people to this task as well, which is not possible in the current example. So we need to think about that, but I would like to get some input. So I think, Tim, we need to reinforce that if people want to leave us a message and give us some input on how they would need the schedule to work. It's not clear to me if there's a one-size-fits-all approach. Do we need to allow multiple persons per task? Will it be one task per person? Is it important to do the scheduling at this level? Do we need multiple projects or not? There are many open questions before we can finish this.
So 833 Excel Talk, if you'd like to leave us a message on that, we'd like to hear the use cases out there. How are people scheduling? And that brings up another question I had for you, Gabriel, on Velixo. I noticed, I believe you do a customization project now. Is that correct?
The customization project, the customization project is used for a few different things. First of all, if you want to use single sign-on, if you have multi-factor authentication or use Active Directory, we do need to set up a connected application in Acumatica. And the only way to do that is through a customization project. That's the number one thing. Second, if you use single sign-on, the API techniques that we have to use for Acumatica are a bit different. So we need customized API endpoints. So that gets published at the same time. And finally, with the customization project, we do enable project forecasting right back, and we also take care of publishing the inquiry. So it's a one-size or like one-click process that does all the configuration. Some system administrators like that. Personally, I think it makes the initial setup more complex than it is if you just log in with Velixo, type your password. We offer both options. It's only if you use single sign-on or the project forecast right-back where you absolutely need to have this project published.
So where I'm going with that is, since you already have a project, you could start putting more things into it, right? Any roadmap ideas that you might mention here for starting to build screens in Acumatica to house data like we're talking about here, for forecasting resources at a day level or a week level, stuff that you can't do out of the box in Acumatica? Any thoughts there?
Well, yeah, we will have to use the customization tools in Acumatica to add the fields, the screens, the grids that we need. I will go through the sample that the client shared with us just to see what they need and maybe build a proof of concept. But really, I think the idea is just to replace Microsoft Project, replace Smartsheet, and any external tool when it comes to scheduling. And Acumatica is almost there. This is something I really, really want to achieve in the next few weeks and complete, just to make sure that we have the ability to do the scheduling. It's something that Acumatica clients, I mean, just put aside Velixo, it's something that many Acumatica customers are asking about. Whenever I used to do Acumatica demos with projects, people would ask about scheduling. It's something that Acumatica does not have a good answer for today, but with some creativity and help from our community, I'm sure that we can achieve something.
I think at the end of the day, you're still going to need a custom data entry screen, or at least a custom grid. I actually like the chart of accounts screen personally because it's a simple grid of rows and columns. It's just a table to me. And I could populate stuff or not populate it. I don't need a fancy business logic on a data entry screen personally.
Yeah, I agree with you. It can be a simple screen as well. Yeah.
Well, cool. So let's I like the example you left off with there. Save it somewhere so we can pick it up next month and maybe try to do the write back. We'll just stay at the task level for now, but 833 Excel Talk for anyone who can help us out with how you're doing scheduling, task, resources, weekly, daily, what needs to be there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else before we wrap it up?
No, it was cool. I think we could have used another 3 hours today to cover this topic.
Sure. Yeah. We just don't have another 3 hours. You know, we do this once a month, as we've talked before. It's no prep / light prep, kind of like no code / low code. And we just want to put information out there as a starting point. Hopefully people find it useful, and leave us your messages so we can be doing stuff that you care about.
Yeah, but this one was really like no prep on my side, and I apologize. It was a complex topic, way more complex than everything else that we handled on this talk. But I will keep on working on the report and the scheduling thing, because I think this will be extremely valuable, and it's important for the future of Vilixo as well. So I really, really want to do this.
Yeah, just like we showed, you Google for Excel templates. You're just the kind of things you're seeing from clients. Maybe at some point you have a Vilixo templates library, just the stuff that you build. I mean, you already kind of do, actually. Maybe you could show us where it's at. You just maybe need to add. Do you already have the mechanism for adding additional stuff to a library?
Yes, we're using Intercom for support. So let me put the link here in the chat. Is there any way I can bring up this link? Well, yeah, like that.
I'll check that out. So
Okay. Share your
maybe
screen.
the thing you build becomes another example in that area there.
Yeah, correct.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, Gabrielle, and thanks for going over. We'll pick
Thanks.
it up again next month.
Yes. See you, Tim. Very fun.
See ya.
Bye.